Today we're at a boulder that's literally about a minute from my house. Got some beautiful crack lines and a couple real slabby faces. About 4 problems that we've established on this one so far. It's really fun climbing, really that crack line up the middle, really pumpy, fun crack climbing. But for today we're going to be looking at trad anchors and setting trad anchors. You know, I'm not the strongest climber, I'm not the strongest trad climber, but I do understand a fair bit about setting trad anchors. Today we're going to use the kind of scenario of setting up an anchor to rappel off or to connect yourself into for a safety. So I was always taught 3 pieces for trad. You know, other sport climbing, you know, two pieces of redundancy is normally the way to go. But with trad, putting a 3rd or even a 4th, if you can do it, just makes it a whole lot safer if something happens to pop. So that's what we're going to look at. You know, I could just whack 3 or 4 cams in there, bam, 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 done. I'm going to look at using nuts and hexes instead, just purely for this exercise, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, and then how to equalize that out using, I'll talk about a couple different things, but using the way that I was taught, big old Dyneema sling, equalized out, master point knot, and if all your gear's good, then you are in really well to either wrap off or use as a safety setting up belay station type situation. Yeah, let's get into it. So as you can see here, I've placed 4 bits of gear. So we've got a hex up the top, purple nut, yep, just up in there, off-width nut up in here, and a green hex at the bottom. Now I know everyone's got slightly different grading systems on how all this works. I was always taught 4 points of contact for every piece to make it really bomber. So if we look at this green one, yeah, it looks like we've got about 4 points. This middle nut off width, 4 points. And get the camera in there. And then this purple one up the top. Can somehow get a good look at it, can't really. Fairly happy with that. Again, it's got about 3 points of contact, and this top one has 3 points. So independently, I probably wouldn't trust fully many of these pieces, but combined into a system, obviously for this exercise, I'm in a scenario where I'm able to really place slowly and think about it all, as opposed to if I was actually climbing on the wall and having to really quickly place gear so I don't pump out. So I'm just going to then put beaners. There's a few ways, you know, you could extend it out with quick draws or just a single beaner, independent slings off each piece which then come to a master point. The way that I'm going to do it is just using a big old Dyneema sling that I have to equalize it all out to a master point. I find that to be the quickest, easiest method, but yeah, independent slings, independent draws to a master point, anything like that would work and would be safe. Alright, so here got the Dyneema cordelet sling. That's through all the individual pieces and then equalized out to a big old master point with just an overhand knot. I could probably play around with that knot, take it to different spots along, depending, take it further up, take it further down. For what I'm doing today, I'm pretty happy with it where it is. That's not exactly equalized, which, you know, that's not perfect, because if something did pop there would be a bit of a slip there, but again, because it's all joined via the knot, if something popped it wouldn't actually slip, so I'm pretty happy with that. Only thing that worries me about this setup is the rotation on that purple carabiner. So I'm just going to quickly flip that around. So the gate is then facing away from the rock and won't be able to accidentally open. So waiting it a little bit now. Everything seems to be holding. I'm in a scenario where I'm pulling all the weight downwards. I'm not climbing and potentially pulling the weight up to the side. It's down and either side. So for a belay station, not really a belay station, but something to wrap off, something to connect to, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, being in this scenario, I've had the time to really muck around with the gear, get it exactly how I wanted it. Haven't had to worry and hurry through the setup. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now we're just going to weight it and see what I decided to do is tie a second overhand knot in the system just to shorten it a little bit. And I've attached myself carabiner into the cordelet, never fabric to fabric. You always want a bit of metal in between because friction will burn and cut through rope or slings. And that's never a good thing. And then I've got myself on what I use as a safety line whenever I'm sitting up top of a cliff or hanging off a cliff doing something. So we've just got the grigri connected just to take in and keep me on the rope. So I'll probably lock it off before I fully weight this stuff. Get this little bit of rope out the way, there we go. That's kind of the basic grigri lock off. Up to the master point, up to my 4 points of contact. And now, you know, I'm almost as high up on the rope as I can go. Weighting it, a bit more, bit of a shock load, a bit more of a shock load. This angle, that angle, kind of swinging around, just testing it all. Yep, so I'm real happy with that. I can, you know, load that a little bit and nothing's popping. I can sit here fully tensioned, nothing is popping. I would 100% happily wrap off that or use it as a point to tie into. Yeah. It's pretty hot today, so to wrap this video up, I'm probably gonna go sit in the shade somewhere and if I've got any last words, add it in after I've cleaned up this system. Oh, so that's my gear over there. So, taking everything out, it's pretty easy to remove everything, so that's good, nothing got super stuck. So here you can see my 4 points. I'll just get that out of the way. The carabiner for my nut tool. So you see that first overhand, second overhand, and then 4 points independently connected by beaners. Of course, whenever you put a knot into a sling or a rope, it does weaken. So that is something to always think about. But no, I was quite happy with that setup. If it was to wrap off, or if I was setting up for a belay station. Obviously, belay station, I would have wanted an extra point of connection at the end of the sling, so that I wasn't going off one single point for both climber and belayer. But yeah, overall I was pretty happy with those 4 pieces, held up well. You can see this nice crack line I was talking about. It's a real nice little boulder problem. So yeah, overall pretty happy with that. Cleaned everything up. Nut tool just for wiggling little bits that might get stuck. Overall pretty happy with that. You know, as I said, I'm not the strongest trad climber. I'm not the strongest climber in any regards. But I feel like that was good. That was a solid trad anchor. I'd happily go off that. Yeah, thanks for watching. Probably going to do a video on a 3-to-1, which might be posted either before or after this one. see which one I get to editing first, and go from there. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this, you know, we're still pretty fresh. Me and Rowan, what, third video, second video, depending what order. So you probably know us. But yeah, subscribe, like, send to friends, share for us, that'd be great. If you don't know us, hi, my name's Zach. Did a bit of an intro video before this one. I'm running this channel with my brother Rowan. And if there's anything you'd like to see, any suggestions for videos, we'd love to hear any ideas that anyone might have. Yeah, sweet. So this boulder will probably be one of the spots that we do a bunch of stuff out of. Probably do a bunch of stuff out of home as well. And then there's a couple other sites that we will most likely use for different videos with different techniques. Oh, the sun's getting in the way there. Yeah, but thanks for watching. So just like to put this little disclaimer into all our videos really. You know, we're guides, we're not trainers and instructors. None of this should be any substitute for professional training. If you want to learn more about the ropes, pun intended, and climbing in general, anchoring, lead climbing, vertical rescue, anything and everything, we highly recommend contacting either the guys at Pinnacle Sports or over at Climbing Guides Australia. This is in no way a substitute for their professional training. You'll get way more out of that. Good money spent with those guys. Just yeah, a little bit of a disclaimer for that one. You know, these videos are things that we've been taught and trained to be able to do. So it is within our scope of training, but we're in no way instructors or trainers and assessors. So if, you know, you don't fully understand what's going on in any videos, or you're wanting to learn more, yeah, Pinnacle Sports, Climbing Guides Australia. Those two wonderful people, fantastic courses.